Hi guys, my name is Joanne. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about my Holy Land experience. This is honestly a video that I was supposed to do at the beginning when I started doing these videos. Actually, what inspired me to do these videos was to just do a video to talk about Israel and Palestine, my Holy Land experience. But the truth is, I have procrastinated doing this video for 5 months because I thought I didn't have the ability to do it as much justice as it deserves. But now I guess it's just time. I have to do it because I'm looking forward to another trip very soon somewhere else. So I really need to do this video. So I hope that I will do it justice and that I will actually inspire more people to go to Holy Land. Think about words to describe Holy Land, it would be life-changing, it would be breathtaking, it would be I don't know, exhilarating maybe. I truly lack the words. Yeah, some of these places you just have to go to get the full view of experience of it. However, in this short video I'm going to try to just describe my experience of my 8 days in Holy Land earlier in the year, on 28th February, between 28th February and 8th of March. So first things first, I have always wanted to go to Holy Land. I have a friend, a very good friend called Shiko, who a few years ago had gone to Holy Land, and she kept on telling me, Joanne, you have to go to Holy Land, you have to go to Holy Land, you have to go to Holy Land. So I didn't know when I will actually go to Holy Land, but it's something that has always been at the back of my mind, and something actually I prayed about and was like, okay God, I really want to go to Holy Land one day. Please give me the chance and opportunity. Another one was I went for a mass at a family friend's, and the priest had a jumuiya, was having a jumuiya. A jumuiya is like a small community group, and they had just come back from the Holy Land. And I remember the words of that priest, and he said that he feels that every Christian who has a chance should at least go once to Holy Land. So I took that to heart, and yeah, and I was like, I have to do it. And I got the chance to actually choose a holiday of my choice this year for my birthday, and I decided that I was going to take the trip to Holy Land. So I didn't organize this trip myself. I actually just went online and googled a trip that was going to Holy Land, and 60% of the people who I went to for this trip were coming from a certain church, and then 40% of us who happened to be the younger people just randomly were searching for the tour, and we ended up going with them. We were led by a really amazing priest, Father John, who has been in the Holy Land many times before, and he was such an amazing guide. So basically, we spent 8 days in Holy Land. 5 of the nights we slept in Palestine, in the West Bank, which is Bethlehem, and the other 3 nights we spent the night in Nazareth, which is in Israel. There's a whole politics between Israel and Palestine, which I really don't want to go to right now. But basically, Palestine is all within Israel, but there's the Palestinian territory and the Israeli territory, and they are separated by a wall, which I believe was built by Israel, and therefore it's very easy for tourists to move between Israel and Palestine. And once you have an Israeli visa, you actually don't need a Palestinian visa. However, it's not very easy for the Israelis to go into Palestine or the Palestinians to go into Israel. However, they are both very open to tourists, and the West Bank, especially Bethlehem in Palestine, is very safe currently for tourists. So we spent 5 days in Palestine. Excuse me. Palestine was, to me, so beautiful. It wasn't as developed as Israel. Israel is super developed. I believe it's a first world, but there was just something really special about it. So the first day that we were actually there, we went to the birthplace of Jesus, which is a church called the Chapel of Nativity, and we were able to go to the exact place where Jesus was born, and we were able to see the manger. We had crazy lines of people going in there to see, but it was such a touching and humbling moment to be there. That's one of my highlights of the Holy Land. So in Bethlehem, we were also able to go to the shepherd's field. This is where the angel appeared to the shepherds and told them about the birth of Jesus. And there's a beautiful church called the Gloria. This is where, you know, they sang the Gloria. Such a beautiful place. It's so surreal, and I think it's even more beautiful when you get to go there during Christmas. It was actually one of my highlights, especially visiting the Chapel of Nativity. It's being able to kiss and touch the exact birthplace of Jesus was so humbling, really life-changing. Yeah, so that was one of the things that we got to experience on the first day. On the second day, we were able to go to the Chapel of Ascension. This is the place where Jesus ascended into heaven. It was actually the last spot where Jesus was on earth before he rose and ascended into heaven. It's really interesting to note that the Chapel of Ascension is actually a mosque of Ascension. So Israel is so interesting because it is the holy land for all the religions. So it's the holiest countries or cities for Christians. The Jews have their holiest site there, and the Muslims also have very many sites which they consider meaningful to them for their religion. So an interesting point to note is that a lot of these holy sites are shared among different religions. If you go, for example, to the Chapel of the Holy Sepulchre, this is the holiest place on earth where Jesus died. It has Calvary. It has where his tomb was. It is actually divided among 6 Christian denominations. So there's the Catholic, there's the Orthodox, there's the Armenian, and 6 different Catholic denominations. So the Chapel of Ascension is apparently also of interest to the Muslims because they do recognize Jesus, who Jesus was, and they do also recognize that he ascended into heaven, and so they took the Chapel of Ascension as theirs. So it's an actual mosque, but we got to visit the Chapel of Ascension during just after Easter. 40 days after Easter, when we celebrate the ascension of Jesus into heaven, the Muslims allow Christians to have like Holy Mass, or to have our celebrations just outside of the chapel. So it was also a really beautiful place to visit. On the second day, we also got to visit the place where Jesus taught the apostles the Our Father. It was a really beautiful garden, and it's got the Our Father in any language. I actually got to find it in my own native language, in Kikuyu. So you have it in Irish, in Cornish, in Malayalam, which is Indian. It's in all languages, in Polish, and it's a really beautiful garden. On the same day, we also got to go to Old City, Jerusalem. It's such a picturesque view. And of interest, we went up to the place where Jesus wept for Jerusalem, and on that spot was constructed a church, which is in the form of a tear, just as a remembrance of Jesus, the place where Jesus wept. So we got to celebrate Mass there. It was really emotional, and the views are really amazing. Hopefully, I'm going to add on the video a few of the photos so that you can get to enjoy that. We also got to visit the Garden of Gethsemane. So we all know Gethsemane is the place where Jesus prayed and asked his apostles that you could not keep watch with me for 1 hour. So the garden is actually the only place that I had in mind that actually met what I had in mind. Everywhere else was a complete surprise, actually better than I thought it would be. Yeah, and probably I got the idea of Gethsemane because of the movie The Passion of Christ, maybe, I'm not too sure, but we got to go to Gethsemane. Of deep interest, the rock where Jesus knelt, close to the rock, close to where he was kneeling, the rock he was leaning against, and where he was sweating blood, is actually there. Something that's so interesting in Holy Land is that on top of all these holy sites or holy places, there is usually built a church. There is a church on top of it. So this rock is within a Catholic church, and a lot of pilgrims or a lot of people visiting were kneeling down and kissing the rock where Jesus was, praying just before his crucifixion. For me, this was also a place which was really touching for me. So we got to visit that. On the third day, we got to visit the Visitation Church. So this is the exact place where Mary went with haste to assist her cousin Elizabeth. What was so difficult to comprehend for us was how far Mary had to go, all the way from Nazareth to this place, Karim. And I think at that time they were walking, or maybe she was on a donkey, I don't know, but it was such a long distance. We were probably 2 hours in a bus, and in my mind I was like, wow, she went all the way, and she was probably 3 months pregnant, to go and assist her cousin. And there are these long steps that we had to go up to get to this Visitation Church. But it was a really beautiful church, so we got to go there. We also were able to see the birthplace of John the Baptist. We were also able to see the birthplace of Mother Mary. Really beautiful. On the same day, we were able to see actually the home of Mary and Martha. This is the place where their brother was raised from the dead. So that was also a really touching place. It's so interesting because all of us who went for the trip actually had different highlights. So different places, people got different. There were different places where different people were touched. So this was also a really interesting place that we got to visit. On the fourth day, we were able to visit another place that was a true highlight for me. This was the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. So this is actually the holiest place for Christians. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre, like I had mentioned before, is run by, it was all divided between six Christian denominations. However, it's one huge church. Before we got to the church, we were so lucky that we were able to do the Way of the Cross, as this was actually during Lent time, so it was even more special that we got to do it then. So we did the Way of the Cross, stopping at every step where Jesus, where he fell down, where he was helped to carry the cross, where his face was wiped. It was so surreal. It was just, I can't explain it. So before we actually got to the church, we did the Way of the Cross, and then now we go to the church. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre has Calvary. So Calvary is the exact spot where Jesus died, and we got to we got to touch this spot. We got to kneel down and do our personal prayers. This was, until now, I think it's 4 or 5 months later, I honestly lack the words to explain that particular experience. We were also able to go to the place where, when Jesus was taken down from the cross and he was laid on a surface, it's kind of like a rock. So this is also a really holy place where a lot of people just go and are able to venerate and touch, and yeah, amazing stuff. So we got to, of course, see the place where his body was laid, just when he was removed from the cross. We also got to go to the tomb of Jesus. So for me, we actually lined up because there are so many tourists who actually come to this Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Some of them are not even Christian. Some you could see people from different denominations, but they're all interested to come and see. But for me, going into the place, the tomb of Jesus, it gave me so much. I went there. You get to kneel down. You can kiss the place where Jesus was body was laid. I just experienced so much peace in my heart, and it's just an experience. Really, it's hard to explain, honestly, but really beautiful experience. So that's just a little bit or snippet of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, because there are so many other things that go in there that yeah, but I would just be happy to describe those parts of it. On the same day, we were also able to go to the Wailing Wall. So the Wailing Wall is the holiest place for Jews, and it's segregated between the men's side and the women's side, and it's really famous for a place where there are the cracks where people can write down their prayer requests and go and put them in the cracks. For the men, they have to have hats. So for those who are not Jews or who don't have the hats, there are hats which are there, and they can just pick one and go and do their prayers. And yeah, so that was, we had it on the same day. Still on the fourth day, we were also able to visit the room of the Last Supper, or the upper room. It's actually an upper room. We take some stairs to go up, and that's the place where the sacrament of the Eucharist was instituted. So it was really also a special place to visit, the Last Supper, the room of the Last Supper. On the fifth day, we were able to go to the Jordan River, but just on our way to the Jordan River, or just as we were going to the Jordan River, we were able to see the Mount of Temptations. It's actually like a real mountain. People usually go there with the cable cars, but our group didn't have that in our package, so we actually just stopped and we were able to see the sign which says the Mount of Temptations, and we could actually see, the huge mountains, and it was so surreal. Again, as I said, it was during the Lent period, and it was honestly very surreal. We were also able to see the place where there was the Good Samaritan, where the Good Samaritan, was it a parable or the experience of the Good Samaritan? So we were able to see where it is. It's actually kind of like a desert area. I hope I have photos to it, and maybe we'll attach. I hope so. So on the fifth day, we were able to go to the Jordan River. This was actually also a really beautiful experience. We went to the place where John the Baptist baptized Jesus. The waters are a bit brown, but you know what? My friends also entered, and a few people were actually being baptized there. The place where the waters are a bit brown is where Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist. However, there is a site where we actually did our renewal of our baptismal vows, which is a little bit, I guess, at the end of the river or at the start of the river. I'm not too sure, but the water was clean. So our group, thanks to the priest, Father John, who we were with, we actually got to renew our baptismal vows. Some were sprinkled water. I had sprinkling. Others were fully immersed in the water. But again, since we were already baptized, all of us were baptized. So baptism is only done once. So the priest only did the renewal of our baptismal vows. It was really beautiful. On the fifth day, I guess still the same day that we went to the Jordan River. You guys, this was 5 months ago. I really don't remember what we did on every single day, but I guess it was still the same day we went to Jordan River. We also got to go to the Dead Sea. This really was just a fun activity. So the Dead Sea is the lowest point of the earth. So there's zero gravity. It's it's zero gravity, if I'm not wrong. So basically the Dead Sea, anybody who goes into the Dead Sea cannot drown. Whether you know how to swim or you don't know how to swim, you're gonna float. So that was so much fun. I always wanted to go to the Dead Sea and have a newspaper and take a photo. You know, I'm lying in the Dead Sea and, you know, kind of swimming and reading a newspaper, but I guess I forgot I didn't have a newspaper, so I don't have a photo of that. But another really interesting thing about the Dead Sea, like a lot of people who are into beauty know that the mud which comes to the Dead Sea, which is basically just a black mud, is really good for your skin. So all of us, our group and so many other tourists were, you know, having mud all over us and swimming and having a lot of fun. So the Dead Sea was a really great experience. From the Dead Sea, there's, you know, very famous for its face mask, the black mud masks, and also the Dead Sea salts, really good salts, healthy salts. Yeah, we had an amazing time. We swam, we just enjoyed. That was kind of like a touristy thing to do, but it was really good fun. On the 6th day, we got to go to Magdala. Magdala is a really posh, beautiful city where Mary Magdalene comes from, and it was a city which was just this Magdala city was really built in her honor. Mary Magdalene is such an interesting figure in the Bible, and it's a place for healing, especially for women. That's what the priest said, and personally I really enjoyed Magdala. So Mary Magdalene is really special. This is a lady who was possessed by 6 spirits, but was later delivered by Jesus, and she really loved Jesus and followed Jesus to the point that when Jesus first resurrected from the dead, she was the first person who he appeared to. This just comes to show how Jesus really, for one, I feel like he loves women and protects them, and also number 2, he loves everybody, you know, even the grave sinners. So Magdala is just beautiful city that we got to experience and visit for a few minutes. They have like nice accommodation, and it's just a beautiful experience. Hopefully I'm gonna be able to get those photos and pin it up. At this point, I have now lost track of the days because we had so many activities, but we were also able to go to the place where the transfiguration took place. It's so interesting as it's high up in Mount Tabor. It's not a place where cars can go, so we literally had to take our bus, which took us to a specific place, and then we had to take this smaller minivans, or for people in Kenya who know them, like matatus, a really small van which drove us up along a really winding road all the way up to the mountain. And then there is this beautiful chapel which has been built there, and this is also a place which was so special to me. We also got to go to Mount Carmel, and we got to visit the caves of Elisha. We went to Capernaum, you know, the city where Jesus preached. We got to see the synagogues where Jesus did his preachings, and even when he was able to, you know, run away and hide, and when they wanted to kill him. To be honest, there are so many places that we were able to visit that I may not be able to explain here, but a trip to Holy Land is so special. Truly, when that priest said almost 8 years ago that Holy Land is an experience where every Christian who has the ability should go, I totally agree with him. With the Muslims, they are told that they have to go to Mecca at least once in a lifetime. Honestly, I believe that every Christian who has the ability, because it's not everybody who has the ability, should at least go to Israel once in their life. The benefits I have seen of going to Israel is that, number 1, you're able to truly see and believe that Jesus was man, and he walked on this earth. And by going there, you're able to see where he was born, where he grew up, what kind of environment he grew up in. Number two, the Bible, when you start to read the Bible, it starts to come to life. There were places we went, the Sea of Ceylon, where the man who was sick for over 30 years went in and bathed and came out, and we were able to see all these places. Yeah, so anytime you're in church or when you're reading the Bible, you're like, I know this place, I've been here. Like, it's so crazy. Yeah, so that's another thing. Another one for the Catholics is what was so special and interesting about this pilgrimage that we took. Every decade of the rosary, we actually went to the exact spot where it happened. So if it was the Annunciation, where Mary said yes to the angel Gabriel, we went to the exact spot. It has a really beautiful chapel, and on the day we went there, the church was being celebrated in Amharic. It was so beautiful. So the Annunciation, visitation, where Mary went to visit Elizabeth, where Jesus was presented in the temple, we went to the Cana, and the couples that we had, the married couples that we had, they did their marriage vows there. Canaan is so beautiful, such a beautiful church. We bought a lot of wine just out of the church. There's people selling wine, and we had about 5 to 6 couples. One of my really close friends was celebrating over 40 years of their wedding vows, and they do their wedding vows in Cana. So for the Catholics, it's so special because every time every day when you're saying your rosary, you get to remember the exact spot. When you go to the wedding at Cana, baptism, when you go to Transfiguration, all of these places you actually get to go. So I highly recommend that if you have a chance to, please go to Holy Land. The group that I actually went to is doing another pilgrimage, and this one will be for young people. I am also going to add the poster hopefully at the end of this, and if anybody is in England and would love to join us, it would be really amazing if you join us. We have a really amazing priest, Father John, who will go with us. He's honestly a Holy Land geek. So thank you for watching. I really hope that I have done this video justice. I don't think I have the ability to really do it justice, but I hope that Israel and Palestine, Holy Land, is going to be next on your bucket list. Thank you, and see you on the next one.